You know that feeling, right? The sun comes out and this little war starts inside your head. One part of you is like, yes, let's go soak it up. While another part is screaming, get inside, find cover, now. Well, today we're going to settle that argument. We're going to referee the match between you and the sun using some pretty amazing science.
So let's break down this internal tug of war. In one corner, you've got your brain. It's the worrier, the overthinker. It's read every scary headline and is completely convinced the sun is basically a giant laser beam out to get you. But in the other corner, you've got your gut. That's your deep, ancient, instinctual side, and it's just kind of whispering, come on, this feels right. Did we really evolve over millions of years just to hide in a cave? So, who's right?
And to be fair, your brain's paranoia isn't totally its fault. It's been swimming in what one of our sources calls the industrialization of fear. You know, this constant narrative that the sun is the enemy, often pushed by industries that, well, happen to sell you things to protect you from it. But your gut keeps asking the real question: what does our actual biology, our evolutionary blueprint, have to say about all this? To answer that, your gut interrupts this whole debate with a bombshell. See, it turns out our bodies already have a built-in secret agent, a guardian whose entire job is to manage our relationship with the sun. And it's about time we made a formal introduction. Everybody, meet P53. Its official title is literally the guardian of the genome. I mean, how cool is that? This isn't just any old protein. It's one of the most critical molecules in your entire body for stopping cancer in its tracks. Its job is absolutely mission critical. And here's the kicker. You know what activates it? Sunlight. Okay, now this is where everything we've been taught gets turned on its head. This slide completely reframes what a tan is. We've been told forever that a tan is just skin damage. But if you look at the biology, a tan is actually visible proof that your guardian, P53, is awake and on the job. It's building a protective shield, your body's own natural sunscreen, to defend you. It's not a sign of failure, it's a sign that your defense system is working perfectly. So why is this guardian protein such a massive deal? Well, look at this number. When P53 isn't working right, cancer risk just skyrockets. In fact, about half of all human cancers are linked to a problem with P53. So having a healthy, active guardian is one of the most powerful anti-cancer tools we have. And guess what flips the on switch? Smart sun exposure. All right, so at this point, your brain is probably starting to calm down a little, thinking, okay, maybe the sun isn't pure evil. But hold on, your gut is about to reveal that the story has another layer of complexity. Because it's not just if you get sun, it's when. The plot, as they say, thickens. You know how you get sleepy around the same time every night? That's your body's internal 24-hour clock, your circadian rhythm. It's the master conductor for pretty much everything. And as it turns out, that includes your skin's own personal security team. Your defense and repair systems aren't on high alert 24/7. They have their own daily schedule of peak performance and, well, nap time. So let's look at the research. Scientists did this really fascinating study on mice, and they found that the little cellular repair crews that fix DNA damage from UV light weren't always working at the same pace. Their activity was at rock bottom in the super early morning, around 4 a.m., but hit its absolute peak in the late afternoon. And check this out. This shows you the real-world result of that timing. When they exposed the mice to UV light in the morning, when the repair crews were basically on a coffee break, they had a way more intense sunburn and inflammatory response. But when they were exposed in the afternoon, when the crews were fully staffed and ready to go, much, much less damage. But, and this is a huge but, you might be thinking, hey, I'm not a mouse. And you're absolutely right. As the researchers themselves point out, mice are nocturnal. They're the night shift. We humans are diurnal. We're the day shift. That means our biological clocks are essentially flipped, completely opposite to theirs. So what does that suggest? It suggests that our most vulnerable time isn't the morning, but probably the late afternoon, when our own DNA repair systems are starting to clock out for the day. So we've got these two huge ideas on the table. P53, our sun-activated guardian, and the circadian clock that times our defenses. You'd probably think they're two totally separate systems, right? Well, the most stunning revelation of all is that they aren't separate at all. In fact, they are physically, directly, and profoundly connected. So to understand how this all fits together, we need to meet one more character in this story, a gene called period 2, or PER2 for short.
Just think of PER2 as one of the main critical gears inside your body's master 24-hour clock. It's what helps keep the whole system ticking along right on schedule. Now, every gene needs an on switch, right? For PER2, that switch is a very specific spot on your DNA called an E-box. And normally, your body's master timekeepers, a pair of proteins called BMAL1 and clock, are the ones that come along and flip that switch to on, keeping your daily rhythm humming perfectly.
Okay, you ready? Here's the punchline. When our guardian, P53, gets activated by something like UV light, it doesn't just go off to fix DNA. No, it marches right over to the master clock's main control panel, to that exact same E-box switch, and it grabs on.
This is something called competitive binding. The best way to think about it is like a game of musical chairs. There's only one chair, the E-box, and when P53 is activated, it sits down first, physically blocking the regular clock proteins from taking their seats. By doing this, P53 literally hijacks the system. It can directly press pause on a key part of your body's circadian clock. It's an absolutely incredible direct link between DNA damage and the master timekeeper of our entire biology. So, after all that, where does it leave that little debate in your head? Well, for the first time, your brain and your gut can actually shake hands. They can agree. The answer isn't total paranoid fear, and it's not blissful ignorance either. It's about building a new, smarter, and more rhythmic relationship with the sun, one that's based on how our bodies actually work.
So let's lay out the terms of this new peace treaty. First, the sun isn't the villain. It's the trigger that wakes up your most important genetic guardian. Second, your defenses aren't always on. They're rhythmic. They ebb and flow with the day. Third, the guardian and the clock are directly wired together, talking to each other at the DNA level. And all of that leads to the final, most important rule. The goal is balance. Seek gradual, consistent exposure to wake up your defenses, but never, ever overwhelm them by getting a sunburn. Ultimately, what this all does is it shifts the entire conversation. We can move away from a simple, outdated story of fear and move toward a much smarter, more elegant story of alignment. Our biology is designed for this incredibly intricate dance with the sun's daily rhythm. So the real question is, in our modern indoor lives, have we forgotten how to listen to the music?